The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Sicilian Corner, winner of the Italian Heritage Media Award, with your hosts, Tom Zappola and Mike Lamazzo.
Hey, Mikey, how you doing?
Good, Tommy. How about yourself, pal?
What's going on?
Things are good.
I'm hearing rumors that you guys are going to have a major snowstorm. Any truth to that?
You know something? We can only hope, Tom.
Well, we're going to have one here, too.
Yeah, of course you are.
Well, an ice cube just fell on the floor out of my fridge.
The one good thing about this storm, Tom, and, of course, you don't want to see anybody get hurt. You don't want to see damage to houses, but it's light, fluffy snow. So you know something? You get 18 inches, 24 inches, it's nothing. It's nothing. You can use a leaf blower and get rid of it.
You know what the good part about living in Merrimack is? We have our own, as you know, we have our own light company. So we're not part of it.
That surprises me because it's so small. It's amazing that it stays independent.
It's awesome, Mikey, and I'll tell you why it's awesome. Because when the electricity goes off, it literally comes back on 10 minutes later.
You're very lucky, man.
It's fabulous.
You know, I put in a whole house generator about a year and a half ago. And, man, I'll tell you, best thing that could have possibly happened to me. That power goes off.
Oh, it's great.
This thing starts up. And you know who else picked one up, Tommy? Because he came over the house to look at mine.
Peter Schipatelli.
Yeah. And
I know that. He called me to tell me that.
And he's thrilled. Of course, we haven't had power go off for a while. So if it goes off, it's run by propane. It starts right up, and it's a wonderful thing.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Tom Zappola. My big brother, my paisan, Mikey Lamazzo, is at the studio. I'm in the Florida South studio. The name of the show is the Sicilian Corner, and you can listen to us on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, 980 WCAP, Facebook Live, YouTube, Spotify, all that good stuff. We got a good show today, Mikey.
You know something? I'm looking forward to it. Our guest,
very good friend.
Our guest is coming from Boston, Peter Alfie, and Peter's been on with us before, as you know, Tom. And Peter owns Restorante Euno in Salem Street. And I've said this before. There are so many restaurants to choose from in the North End. You want a dish of pasta, go anywhere you want. You want something a little bit fancier, like a nice veal chop, something really, I'll tell you, Restorante Euno. And they don't chase you out. They let you sit there. You can enjoy it. It's a wonderful thing.
But we're not going to,
No, Peter, we're not going to talk about the restaurant.
We'll talk about it a little bit.
We're talking about heritage.
Peter is an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur.
Yes,
He's a very successful businessman, wine, imported marble, all
apartments.
Kinds of stuff.
He's into everything. He's into everything.
Yeah, really. I mean, so I think that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So we're gonna bring Peter in the last couple of segments. Peter was brought up in Sicily. Talk about his upbringing, his favorite foods that his mother used to cook. He's actually a pretty good cook himself, Mikey.
Yeah, he's excellent. David, if anybody wants to ask questions on Facebook
it away, and we'll get the questions to you, Tom, or Peter.
Okay, that looks good. I want to give a shout-out to Nancy Greco. Nancy listens to the show and watches the show.
I love Nancy. Good woman.
And we just want to say good morning. And, you know, like you said, we are expecting some snow, albeit it's coming at a perfect time. You know, it's Saturday. People don't have to work, so traffic will be minimal.
Good point.
You know, sit back, clean your house, let the snow fall. Hey, life is good. By Sunday morning, the roads will be wide open.
Very, very good point. Shout out to Volpe Giuseppe. I think that is a new viewer.
What's the first name?
Volpe, Volpe. Shout out to Volpe.
That's a new one on me.
And Michael Diana, another new name, so that's good. Welcome to the Sicilian Corner family. We hope you guys enjoy the show.
Hey, listen, last weekend, man, I got to tell you, Saturday and Sunday, that was the best football weekend that I think I've ever had watching these games. David, those games were absolutely phenomenal. It was amazing.
You guys want to go over the picks and see who?
interest-
I
go
think we
ahead.
should do that right now.
Okay, we got the
David.
scoreboard.
Yeah.
We got the scoreboard, and we'll go from last place to first.
Okay.
In last place with 1 win and 3 losses,
Yeah.
Mr. Tom Zappola.
Yeah, all right, baby.
Nice job, Tommy. You won. Your 1 win was Cincinnati. You picked Cincinnati.
I know.
Excellent choice. In second place with 2 wins and 2 losses is Mr. Mike Lamazzo. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
And I went 3-1.
Good for you.
My 1 loss was the 49ers Green Bay game.
You want to hear something funny? Barbara went 4 for 4.
Boom. See?
My aching head.
There you go.
And she put it on Facebook. I mean, beforehand. So
All right, so let's go. Let's do this weekend, David.
As I was saying,
what do we got?
As I was saying, David,
Yes?
before I was so rudely interrupted, 4 for 4. That's unbelievable. We should write it. She should do a spread paper. What were you saying, Tommy?
All right, let's do right now before we lose track. We got Cincinnati traveling to Kansas City. Mr.
Zappala, go ahead, you go first.
Kansas City all the way.
Yep, me too.
David?
I'm taking Kansas City.
Mike is taking Kansas City.
All right. Mike's-
Normally I go with the underdog, but I think this weekend, I think the home teams. Go ahead.
Yeah, so next game is San Francisco playing in lovely Los Angeles at that
Going to be a
gigantic
tough
stadium.
game. Tom?
My heart is with the 49ers, but I don't see them beating the Rams.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going with the Rams. What about you, Michael?
I'm going to go for the upset.
Ooh, yeah. So someone's got to pick something different, right?
Jimmy G.
Jimmy G.
Galloping.
All right, there you go.
Well, hold on a second, though. Think about this. I was just thinking about this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if the Rams beat the 49ers.
Yeah, they have the Super Bowl.
They have a home game.
They have a home game.
They have a home game. That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah, 2 years in a row.
Not bad.
Wow.
That's
pretty cool.
That's a huge advantage.
Indeed.
Pretty cool.
really-
Pretty cool.
But the excitement, Tommy, last week in all the games.
Great games.
I mean, Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
Great
Wow.
games.
Incredible. Man.
All right.
Mikey, since we're on the subject of sports, I want to ask you your opinion of David Ortiz getting into the Hall of Fame, number one, and what are your feelings about Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds?
You know something, boy, that's a tough question. It really is. It's a tough question. I was very happy for Ortiz. I think it was well-deserved. But there was some question marks next to his name going in. I think, Tommy, going back into the 50s, I think there were performance-enhancing drugs.
Oh, there were. Rico's talked about it. They were all, not all of them, but he said about half the players were taking amphetamines. They called them greenies.
Yes, sir.
That's what they were taking.
Yeah.
It's like speed to keep you alert, active. You know, he said a lot of them did that. There was one player in particular that everybody knows. I'm not going to mention his name. He used to take 10 greenies before a game.
Are we talking
10.
about Canseco?
No. This is when Rico played.
Oh, this was when Rico paid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why can't you mention his name? You got no cookies?
Because I don't want to get sued. That's why. What are you being like a wise ass for? Do you want to get sued? Do you want the Sicilian Corner radio show?
Is it a fact or is it an assumption?
Well, it's not an assumption. It's coming from one of his teammates.
So it's hearsay. We can't allow that.
Well, it is in hearsay if it was one of my partners and your friends' teammates, and he played with them for years.
In the court, it's hearsay. Call it whatever you may, it's hearsay.
Okay.
Okay. But there was, and you know something, you look at some of the battles, home run battles. It was great for baseball, Tom. Yeah, maybe they were juiced up. Manny Ramirez, what a character!
So
the guy had a
difference?
tinkle. He goes behind the fence, takes a tinkle in front of 30,000
So
people.
what's the difference between? You said it was good for baseball, exciting. So what's the difference between watching Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Roger Clemens. What's the difference between watching them and watching the WWF?
I think there's a big difference, number one.
What's the difference?
I think that because everybody you want to be the best at what you play. And you'll do whatever it takes. I think everybody knew. You look at Joe Morgan. You look at that era. Everybody was taking performance drugs.
Mikey, that is so not true.
It is true.
You're telling me now, which you talk about Joe Morgan that managed the Red Sox or Joe Morgan that played for the Cincinnati?
Cincinnati.
So you're telling me that guys like...
They were turning their backs, Tommy. They were looking the other way. You know why? Because it was great for baseball. You look at the ratings in baseball skyrocket.
So all I'm saying is Pete Rose was taking PEDs. Pete Rose. Louis Tiant was taking PEDs. Louis Tiant was as big as you, and he was taking PEDs?
He was a pitcher. He looked for any advantage he could have.
So you're telling me...
I don't know that to be fact. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying
said that all of the players were taking
the norm.
I disagree with that.
I
totally disagree.
I think
David,
you got more than
50%
that were. David, what do you think? Yeah.
I think it's a lot harder to know what guys were doing back then. Like Tom says, that we know of people who were doing greenies. We know there were buckets of them, both for football players, baseball players.
Absolutely.
These guys are just trying to stay on the field.
This is it.
It's not,
you want to be the best of what you can be. You know, if you got to take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin D, you would take it. And you know something. And to me, I can't see if Ortiz had that question mark around him about taking drugs. How can you not vote in?
Okay, and
Rodriguez.
Now you're making a good point. So here's what David and I were talking, Mikey, before we went on the air.
Yeah.
Here's what I would do. I think that based on their pre-steroid taking, and you can look at.
But how do you know? I mean,
I'll tell you how.
You see a spike up. I understand that.
Mike, you can look at Barry Bonds's, go to Baseball Reference. You could look at his numbers up to 1998 and his size. And his numbers prior to 1998 were Hall of Fame numbers. After 1998, all bets were off. His head got big. He started hitting like 1,000 home runs. However, the Hall of Fame could bring him in and just based on his numbers prior to steroid use, but those are the numbers. So in other words, instead of having whatever he had, 700 and whatever home runs, he had 600 home runs.
Right.
Instead of having a lifetime batting average.
I'm not disagreeing. But Clemens, to me, I think should have been absolutely.
Clemens won 197 games before he got traded to Toronto and won those other 3 or 4 Cy Young awards.
Right.
His record when he played with the Red Sox was like 197, and I think it was less than 100, like 98 or 197 and 101. Those are Sandy Koufax numbers, good enough to get into the Hall of Fame, but they shouldn't include the numbers post, in my opinion, post him getting traded. Same thing with A-Rod. A-Rod had Hall of Fame numbers before he started juicing. Those are the numbers that should be posted. That's how those guys got in. Boom. Everything else gets erased.
You think Ty Cobb should have been in the Hall of Fame?
Absolutely. 365 lifetime batting average. For how many hits? Yeah. How many stolen bases? Why do you say no?
Why? Because, you make an example of Pete Rose, right? Of betting on the games.
Yeah.
Ty Cobb bet in every single freaking game. Every game. And that's proven.
Oh, really? I want to hear this one.
No, it's proven.
I want to hear this one.
Because you had somebody that they knew that was taking the bets. He actually jumped into the stands one day because there was a person that was ridiculing him. He jumped into the stands and he beat the living bejeebers on. So you vote this guy into the Hall of Fame? The Hall of Fame is not pure, Tom. You say Hall of Fame, everybody thinks Hall of Fame baseball is pure.
I'm not saying that. Listen to me. Ty Cobb had serious issues. He was serious. Some people say he was a racist. Some people say he wasn't a racist. He had a terrible temper. He did, in fact, jump into the stands on several occasions and get into fights with. But one thing, he was never, ever gambled.
That's not true. That's not true.
Then you have to prove that to me.
You know something? I did some research during the week, and I have it at home. I'll be more than happy to send it.
There was one incident where he was accused of doing something with Tris Speaker. One thing, they never proved it, and he moved on.
Well, I think they did. How about Rogers Hornsby? He's another one that's in the Hall of Fame. The guy was a Ku Klux Klan member.
You're missing the point.
No, I'm not. I mean,
Mike.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with. He was a Ku Klux Klan member. However, that has nothing to do with why he should be in the Hall of Fame or why not.
You don't think so? You don't think a man's character should be?
Absolutely not.
The writers don't vote on that. There's not points for that. Nothing. I don't know how the scale works, Tommy. Maybe you could let our listeners know. I don't know. But Rogers Hornsby was a Ku Klux man. He went to Detroit. He ended up firing every single Catholic that was there.
Not miserable guy. He was a miserable guy.
And he's in the Hall of Fame. I call it the Hall of Shame.
Well, I disagree because you don't base it on their character. You base it on
That's so important, though, Tom.
Numbers.
You're creating an image.
Well, then, if that's the case, why is Lawrence Taylor in the Hall of Fame? Lawrence Taylor is the biggest degenerate in the history of the National Football League. Why is he in the Hall of Fame?
I'm not talking a Hall of Fame for football. We're talking baseball here.
I'm talking football.
Stay on point, please. Stay on point.
You're wrong in this one. You're wrong. Dead on. You're wrong in this one.
I'm entitled to my opinion.
And I agree. But if Ty Cobb can't be elected, then Lawrence Taylor certainly has no business in the Hall of Fame. None whatsoever.
There's people that were put in there.
As a matter of fact, neither does Jimmy Brown. Jimmy Brown doesn't belong to the Hall of Fame based on your criteria. No way.
You're telling me the Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame, there's no points for character? Nothing. It's strictly on statistics.
Are there points for character in the Football Hall of Fame?
I have no idea.
Well, they're not because Jimmy Brown, how many times did Jimmy Brown get arrested for domestic abuse, beating up his wife? How many times?
You're right.
Right?
Yep.
All right, we're going to take a quick break.
Oh, wow. We're going to come back. We're going to have Peter Alfie with us.
We're switching gears now. We're going to go to Italian, Sicilian.
There you go.
Be right back.
I like it.
Looking for that something special? All of us here at the Sicilian Corner suggest trying Ristorante Euno, located at 119 Salem Street in Boston's historic North End. For the most exquisite dining experience in an intimate setting that serves authentic regional Italian cuisine and features old country service. Try Restorante Euno. Did we mention their award-winning wine cellar? Restorante Euno, 119 Salem Street in Boston's historic North End. Call 617-573-9406 for reservations. That's 617-573-9406. Tell them the boys from the Sicilian Corner sent you.
Today, Lawrence General Hospital has affiliations with leading Boston academic medical centers. Top specialists from Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center and Floating Hospital for Children at Tufts Medical Center work with our local doctors to bring world-class care close to home. Today, amazing partnerships are happening at Lawrence General Hospital. To learn more, visit lawrencegeneral.org/today.
Italian artisan cuisine combines simple, fresh ingredients with time-honored preparation to create an incredible culinary experience. At Tuscan Kitchen, located in Salem's historic Depot District, talented chefs prepare everything in-house from scratch for all to see. Guests enjoy their meal literally in our kitchen as food is prepared right in front of you. Wood ovens burn from morning till night, roasting vegetables, baking bread, and firing delightful thin-crust pizzas. Prime steaks are seared on a wood grill. A rotisserie slowly roasts marinated whole chickens and lamb, while a pasta maker creates fresh fettuccine. More than just artisan cuisine, Tuscan Kitchen features the wine bar, live entertainment, weekly wine tastings, and elegant private dining and event space. Call 603-952-4875 or visit TuscanKitchen.com to make a reservation and learn more about the culinary adventure that awaits. In Italy, cooking is an art form. Tuscan Kitchen. Experience artisan Italian.
Essex Orthopedics and Optima Sports Medicine is pleased to announce the opening of their American College of Radiology accredited MRI unit at their location at 16 Pelham Road in Salem, New Hampshire. So now, in addition to receiving the best orthopedic care in the Merrimack Valley, as well as physical and occupational therapy at Optima Sports Therapy and Rehab, you can also have your MRI, all in one convenient location. The doctors and staff of Essex Orthopedics and Optima Sports Medicine have been dedicated to providing outstanding medical care to the Merrimack Valley in southern New Hampshire since 1984. Located on Route 97, just off Exit 2 from Route 93 North, on the second floor of the Workout Club of Salem. You deserve the best care, and that's exactly what you'll get from the board-certified surgeons at Essex Orthopedics and Optima Sports Medicine. Please call 603-898-2244 to schedule an appointment.
A loyal sponsor for the Sicilian Corner is Hilton Oil Company. Hilton Oil has been located right across from the South Lawrence Common since 1932 at 101 South Union Street. Hilton Oil Company specializes in 24-hour burner service, oil deliveries, including automatic deliveries serving all the Merrimack Valley area, plus portions of southern New Hampshire. If you want your car fixed right the first time, bring it to Hilton's state-of-the-art service station. Remember, Hilton's is also a Mass State Inspection Station. Hilton Oil Company, 101 South Union Street in Lawrence. Call 978-687-9793.
This is Cindy
and Mike Kunstler,
owners of Grazie Italian Restaurant in Dracut, Massachusetts,
the hidden gem of the Merrimack Valley.
In addition to spectacular views overlooking our golf course, we have an incredible Italian chef, Benny Curti.
Benny was born and raised in Italy and came to be our executive chef in 2013.
Benny is so passionate about cooking. If you haven't experienced the food at Grazie Italian Restaurant, you're truly in for a treat.
Grazie Italian Restaurant, located at Four Oaks Country Club.
And we're back.
Okay, we are back. Hey, before we bring Peter in, hi, Peter. Welcome.
Yep.
Hey, Tommy.
Mikey, what about our good friend Tommy Amin and the great people at Butcher Boy?
You know something, Tom? Like I said, this is close to my heart because I worked for the Amin family for quite a few years as a youngster. Keep in mind, 1955, when they moved up here to Salem, New Hampshire, directly across the street from Studio 21, where we're located.
How old were you then, Mikey? About 31, 32?
I was 13. I had just graduated from the John Breen Grammar School, and they opened up a store in 1955. I actually came in 1958 to work for them. That's when I graduated from the John Breen. And I'll tell you, Billy, Kenny, Yvonne, Danny, Tommy, and Joyce, they took a chance, and that store was one of the busiest stores on this highway. Keep in mind, Route 28 back then was one lane going, one lane coming. It was all farms up here.
I remember my dad always going in there by his beats.
And this place became a destination. So, you know something, and today it's a destination, but it's in North Andover, Massachusetts on Route 125. And we want to tell our listeners, if you're looking for something special, go by the Butcher Boy. The service is unbelievable. That's the name.
They have a hell of a wine selection, Mikey. Hell of a wine selection.
Over 1,000 barrels. You know, and speaking of wine, our guest over here knows a little bit about. Peter, how are you? Welcome to the Sicilian Corner.
How you guys doing?
Every day's a holiday, brother. Every day's a holiday. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how problematic is to make good homemade wine?
Well, you got to have good grapes to start off with.
So what do you use? What kind of grapes? Can we hear Peter okay? You want a little closer?
Can you bring him up a little bit? Yeah.
Can you hear me better?
Yep, that's
much
good.
better. Much better.
So what kind of grapes does Peter Alfie use?
I like Old Vine Zinfandel.
Really?
It tends to be a little easier to deal with.
Do you buy juice or you buy the grapes?
No, I buy the grapes.
Okay.
I buy the grapes, so I buy the best grapes I can get my hands on usually.
How many cases are we talking here?
You know, this year we did a little more. I think I did about 30 cases.
Tommy, 30
right?
cases.
So my son's friend made wine with me. I've known him since he was like 4, so he's like a real scotch.
I love it. I love it.
So now my son and his friends every Sunday, I've known them since they're all 4 years old. They come over for football, and now there's like 15 of them. So now they're tapping into the barrels, right? And so I told them, well, in May we're going to bring in grapes from Argentina or Chile, and we're going to make it again because we're not going to have enough. So you have to get the grapes and get them to room temperature, so they have to sweat out. And and then you crush them. So I have a stem separator. You put some of the stems back in for the tannins. And
I was going to say, you have to have some.
Yeah, so you push it down, and you wait for the fermentation, for the sugar level to be at 0, and then you press it. So I put it in stainless for the first, 3 months, so it all settles, and then I pump it into the barrels.
Hey, I want to ask a question about, because we've talked about this before on the show. I've attempted with other friends of ours from St. Alfie to make wine. I've always screwed it up.
You know something? Aging grape juice doesn't cut it, all right?
Peter, the bottles and the corking are very, very, very important, correct?
Yeah. So you got to make sure your bottles are sterilized.
Okay. That's important, right?
And you got to make sure that the corks, you put them in water overnight. They kind of soak up a little bit.
Now, what about, a lot of people, and, you can buy good quality wines now with twist off and not corks in them. And any, down here it's Total Wine. I think you've been in Total Wine. There's one up there. Does that make a big difference now with the twist off versus a cork in the bottle?
Well, the job of the cork is to not let air in. So if the cap works that it doesn't let air in, then you don't have an issue. The thing is that when you put the cork, you put them laying down because air can still get through the cork, but it won't get through the cap.
Gotcha.
Because the cork is still permeable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But you're seeing more and more of the quality wines, Peter, coming with.
Yeah, Mikey, you're right. You're dead on. You're dead on.
It used to be the kind of wine that Tommy used to buy, Boone Farm and that. But
quality wine.
Quality all the way. And he thinks the longer he keeps it in the refrigerator, the better it's going to age.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem is bacteria, right, with making wine?
Yeah, the biggest problem is bacteria. So you want to make sure everything's sterilized. You want to make sure you buy good grapes, first of all.
That's the key.
I'm not like super knowledgeable, but I have some friends in Italy that are some of the best winemakers in Italy for big for big wineries. And it amazes me how much work it is. It's a lot of work.
It must be crazy.
A family that makes wine together, Peter, stays together, right?
Oh, yeah, now they're all
I'm glad you said. How old's your boy now?
I've got one that's 23 and one that's 21.
Really?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
How long you been here? You've been a sponsor of the Sicilian Corner. How many years? It's been a while, man.
I don't know.
Quite a while.
15 probably.
15 at least, right?
Yeah,
I would
at
think.
least. Peter, tell us a little bit about your background in Italy. How you grew up, where you grew up, and then you immigrating to this country.
So I grew up in Santa Caterina. It's in the center of Sicily. It's a province of Caltanissetta. So we came to Boston. We moved to East Boston. My grandparents were already here. Both my great-grandfathers came here in the 1890s and worked for the railroad.
Oh, wow.
So a few of my grandmother's sisters were born in Everett, Mass., so they all went back. Then part of the family immigrated to Argentina and Venezuela. All the ones from Venezuela came back. Then part of them went to Germany. So we ended up being called over, that generational immigration through my grandparents because, some of them were American citizens. So I grew up in East Boston. East Boston was great. It was an Italian-Irish neighborhood. It was fun. I hung around in the North End. So, things were very different.
I can't help but think about when your grandparents came to this country.
They came in the 60s, right? And it's funny because my great-grandparents went back in the 20s.
Right.
Imagine that, or the early, the early 1900s and, the 1918.
But think about it. Can't speak the language. No, nobody here. And, they go through the process and they get a job and they're successful. And, it had to be so hard. What a decision to make, to leave all your friends, some of your family, that come to a place, Tommy, where you really didn't know what to expect.
Mikey, think about how many people, I'm using my grandmother, God rest her soul. Think about this. And she was one of probably thousands. Yeah. My grandmother and her sister were put on a boat by an aunt because both of their parents died with the influenza.
And how old were they, Tom?
9 and 10.
Wow. So you're talking 1918, 1919 during...
Correct.
Okay. Influenza.
Put on a boat, Mikey, and by themselves, a 9 and a 10-year-old, to come across to a new country where they didn't speak English. Now, there were relatives here that met them.
Yeah.
But think about how many kids that happened to.
Unbelievable. And you know something, Tom, they probably came over in the lowest class of transportation, which was steerage. You were on top of each other.
And a lot of them would get sick. A lot of them would get sick. Yeah.
I can't even I have such admiration for people who would make that kind of a decision to leave everything behind. I know during the famine, in the 1910s, 1920s, they had to do something because they were dying.
Absolutely.
They needed to take a shot, and they came to this country.
But it was different because, like, one of my mother's cousins, 2 brothers married 2 sisters, and the parents were able to come over, but not the kids. So the kids stayed back.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, because they came before my grandparents, so they stayed back with my grandparents, my mother's cousins, and then they were brought over little by little. And then there was a story of my grandmother's cousin, and if I had a broken bone, I had a sprained ankle. This lady, Zia Maria, she even had the Madonna in her house where people used to go and pray in her house in these spots. And she was so she saved a paratrooper during World War II from dying, a U.S. paratrooper. So Kennedy gave them an award and allowed them to immigrate. Now, they had like 6, 7 kids, and the parents came without the kids. And they had it on the news in like the 50s.
I can't even imagine that.
That's what I'm saying, T.
They had them all over the news in the 50s because the kids didn't recognize the parents when they came.
Wow.
But you got to feel for these people coming over the borders today, coming from Africa, from all over the world, being handled by like the Mexican cartel, being handled by cartels around the world in the Mediterranean. It's really
I talked to my brother, Peter.
Really
my brother
sad.
Al lives in Sicily, as you know. And they just shake their head at the people that are still coming into Sicily from all over. And, they get carted right through. And, it's not a good situation. Do you ever go back, Peter?
Yeah, I was there. I was there in December. I went for work, and I got to tell you, it becomes political. You can get really political. With the vaccine, non-vaccine, all this stuff.
Absolutely.
I'm against the vaccine.
Okay.
I had COVID. I'm not against anybody getting it. Biology was my background. I went to Northeastern while I was in high school because I won the science fair at MIT, right? Mm-hmm. And when you have like a messenger RNA, fetal cells, all this stuff, they don't really have it down. So you can't have the same RNA in every laboratory.
Right.
So this thing, they've made it political, and they're kind of forcing people to take it, and you kind of stay out of it, right? So when I went to Italy,
they're doing that in Sicily. It's mandatory. It's €1,000 fine.
Yeah, well, my cousin's a biologist, and he met me in Bologna. I was in Bologna for work, so he flew up from Sicily. And so, he says, they can't all be wrong. Well, guess what? Last week, he got COVID. He can't even walk. It attacked his hip that he had broken before.
Sure.
And he says to me, we're all confused here now. I go, wow, 4 weeks later, you're confused.
Well, my brother Al brought a good point up. He talked about the difference between there and here, that country and this country, is he said, here people have, it's called the 10th Amendment. I think it's the 10th Amendment, where you can choose to make a decision, like, for instance, using the vaccine to either get it or not get it. That's totally up to the individual rights. In Sicily, they've taken that right away. In Sicily, you have to get vaccinated. You have to have a card. You have to wear a mask. And if you don't, it's €1,000 fine.
Well, you know what, Tommy? I got tested 3 days before, 2 days before, and 4 hours before I got on a plane. I got a blood test. I still had a high level of antibodies. I got to Bologna. It was a 6-hour flight from here to Paris. I got on a plane within an hour. So within 10 hours, I was in Bologna. Okay? My friend an architect friend of mine from Barcelona met me there because we were looking at a high-end furniture company.
Yep.
Yeah.
I went to get a coffee, and they would not serve me a coffee in the airport. They said, you need a Vax card, so it's a green pass.
Yeah. That's unbelievable.
So my cousin and I have the same first and last name, right? He forwards me his green pass. right? And it looks like the menu code. You know, you put a picture on it and it pops up. So it's a bunch of crap because you know what? Everywhere I went, when my cousin came up, I was a guy from Spain. When Sasha went back to Spain, I was another guy from Italy. They don't even check. We even made a mistake in one restaurant, and both of us had the same green pass with the same name, same birth date. They don't even look. So you know the parameters of it are very. But what scared me the most is this. You know, Italy's been known for socialism, right? Fascism. So I go and get tested at the airport in Bologna the day before I leave so I can fly out of there. So they have like these, it looks like that movie with Dustin Hoffman. They have those big round tents that are made out of fabric,
sure.
Right? You go in there, there's the police there, and they were very polite. They had the thing, I paid 175 euros. There's this little pretty curly-haired girl. She's all pleasant. She sits there. And I said, okay, well, I need a test. So she takes the swab. And all of a sudden, she turned into the devil. I'm not kidding you, Tommy. She looked at me. She goes, open your mouth. She sticks the Q-tip all the way down the back of my throat, takes the same Q-tip, and shoves it up my nose so far that my eyes start watering. I close my eyes.
She didn't like you.
She tells me in Italian, open your eyes. And with her finger, she says, look at me, look at me. So I said to her, do you understand that if I had strep throat and you put that this far up my nose, you would have killed me because there's no cure for strep, and especially if it goes to your nose. So that's why you can't let that happen here.
Right. And I agree with you. Listen, everybody makes choices in life.
No, because you're empowering certain people, Tommy, like
Correct.
that girl.
I agree.
If she knew anything about the medical industry, right, or about people's biology, she should have used a different Q-tip for my nose. That's number one.
Yeah, no, Peter,
you can take it out of your nose and your throat, but not from your throat and up your sinus cavity.
Tommy, you're pro-vaccine. I am pro. I am pro-vaccine.
Peter, I mean, I got 3 shots because of my RA.
Yep.
I know Mikey's had 2 shots and a booster, but the point being is that
I think that if you do get COVID, it won't be quite as bad.
It doesn't matter, Mike. It doesn't matter. The point is
I think it's available. Why not take it? That's my point.
Because
I'm somewhat surprised.
No. My reason's different. I had a blood clot in my lungs twice. So one of the first things they said is that it could cause a blood clot. I'm like, I'm not playing Russian roulette. I got it. I had a headache.
Now you're explaining the reason why.
Yeah, but
listen, we have close friends down here, Mike, that have chosen not to get vaccinated, and actually, they all got COVID. They got the Omicron, so it was minor. But I respect them. I'm not going to argue with them and say, you've got to get.
It's up to the individual. But if you want to control this, we have to take a proactive approach.
Unfortunately, the way I look at it, it's up. If a friend of mine is not going to be vaxxed, then until this thing goes away, I'm going to kind of stay away from him.
Yeah, but you know what, Tommy? Most of the people spreading it are people that are vaccinated.
I know. Now
there's no control. And guess what? Your shots don't work for Omicron. And now you got a Omicron A or something.
There's something new coming
up. Too, but whatever.
So, but it is what it is. If it saved people's lives, the vaccine, my parents got it, and my mother would be the worst person who got it. She just got over it last week. She survived. She's constantly got bronchitis.
And we're saying the same thing. I think it's up to the individual.
Yeah.
All right, listen, we're going to take a quick break. We come back, and we want to talk to Peter Alfie, the entrepreneur, the businessman. You've got a lot going. We also want to mention the restaurant, but you've got your hands successfully in so many things. I think our viewers and our listeners are going to find it interesting. You're listening to the Sicilian Corner, watching the Sicilian Corner. We're going to take a break.
And listen to our sponsors.
Right back.
This is David from the Sicilian Corner. Mike, Tom, and I love to go to Salisbury Beach, but we love different things and we can never agree. Tom likes the casual family-style dining with great Italian cuisine, Capri Seaside Italian Grill. Me, I love the elegant romantic vibe, Sea Glass with the amazing view and terrific menu with prices that'll make it the place you want to visit every week. Mike loves a drink in his hand and a cool ocean breeze right off the surf and the rhythms of an even cooler reggae band. We all know Mike loves Bob Marley tunes at Surfside. Who doesn't love a great show? National acts, comedy, regional favorites in the beautiful and intimate Blue Ocean Music Hall. Lucky for us, Atlantic Hospitality is the host of all these great places, and they treat everyone like they're Mike Lamazzo. And best of all, we never have to choose. Park the car once and all of this fun is right at your fingertips. We can have it all in the heart of Salisbury Beach. Find out about all the ways you can have a great night at Salisbury Beach at northshorepavilion.com. And Mike, Tom, and I will see you there.
This is Tom Zappala. Located in the heart of downtown Haverhill, the Haverhill Beef Company is a full-service, old-fashioned butcher shop and meat market that continues to be a valued family tradition since 1952. Peter and Monica Carboni's Haverhill Beef offers individualized service from an outstanding selection of marinated sirloin tips, homemade sausage, marinated chicken, and thick, juicy Chairman Reserve steaks. Your family deserves the best, so call Peter at 978-374-4795 or visit their website at www.haverhillbeef.com.
Hi, this is Mike, and I would like to tell you about the Deborah Care Law Offices, a firm that is focused on estate planning, probate, trust administration, and elder law issues. You will feel comfortable discussing important issues concerning both you and your loved ones, as well as having the information you need to make an informed decision about your family's future. How do I know? Because I'm a client of Dan Deborah Care. If you want to have peace of mind knowing that your loved ones are protected, call Deborah Care Law Offices today. In Massachusetts, 978-686-4645. In New Hampshire, 603-894-4141.
At Catadella Funeral Home, we reinvest in our business to provide your family with the best facilities. It begins with a beautifully landscaped exterior, parking for 250 vehicles, and a comfortable and inviting access to our renovated interior. Funerals can be costly, so you should review and compare plans to make sure you receive services that are fairly priced. I invite you to experience the Catadella difference in cost, facility, and service.
Catadella's honoring and celebrating the lives of the people we loved, providing exceptional care since 1929.
This is Cindy,
And Mike Kunstler,
owners of Grazie Italian Restaurant in Drake, Massachusetts.
the hidden gem of the Merrimack Valley.
In addition to spectacular views overlooking our golf course, we have an incredible Italian chef, Benny Curti.
Benny was born and raised in Italy and came to be our executive chef in 2013.
Benny is so passionate about cooking. If you haven't experienced the food at Grazie Italian Restaurant, you're truly in for a treat.
Grazie Italian Restaurant, located at Four Oaks Country Club.
Okay, we are back. Mikey, I ran to the refrigerator. I bought a beautiful salami at Doris's yesterday. I just ran to the fridge, took a knife, cut it, shoved it in my mouth, and I'm back.
Life is good. Hey, listen, we have a question on Facebook. David, what's that question for Peter?
Yes, we got a question from Michael Variali. He's asking about the shelf life of a bottle of wine after it's open, and is there a difference of shelf life among the types of wine?
You know, it all depends where you keep it, right? How you keep it. They do have this new thing that they invented where it actually can compress it. It compresses the air
takes
out.
the air back out and kind of reseals it.
Yeah, and it puts an argon gas in it. Ah. So you can have like a Petrus, like a $20,000 bottle, where you're able to actually get a shot for whatever. But, we're talking about at home. So, usually I like putting my homemade wine. You ever see like the old Grolsch beer bottles? Yeah. So I have wine bottles that are like that nice. with the porcelain, with the rubber. With the twist. And you know what I'll do? I'll put it in that. I'll put it in the dark, right? And even 4 or 5 days later, I still can drink the bottle of homemade wine. Some of the other wines, because if they're not made well and there's a ton of sulfites, they start to taste a little tart.
Yeah, it does.
A little weird.
Yeah, it gets bitter.
Yeah,
like vinegar.
Yeah.
Yeah, like.
Do you put ice? What do you think of people who put ice in their wine? Do you have a problem with that?
One of my best friends does that. We go to this place for tripe on Sundays.
Besides
on Saturdays.
David.
So he goes in the Italian store next door, and he brings aranciata. So I'm looking at him. I'm like, no bottle over $30 if you're putting aranciata in it.
That's good. You're right. Hey, Peter, let's talk about briefly. You do a lot of things. Let's mention Restorante Euno. You've got a fabulous restaurant in the North End. Probably, I would say, the most elegant restaurant in the North End. I know you guys have had a tough time like everybody else. Is business picking up for you guys in the North End relative to the pandemic?
So 2021 was the busiest year we ever had in 26 years.
That's because he advertises on the Sicilian Corner.
That's right. Our little Sicilian Corner.
Now,
fans come
why
over.
is that, though, Peter? Seriously, why?
You know what? I think they're finding us more and more. We're about the food. I mean, we have people that live in the neighborhood 15 years, and they're like, "Oh, I never seen your restaurant." I said,
That's
well,
it.
we get voted best kept secret. So
it's a fabulous restaurant.
It's a romantic. It's a romantic restaurant.
So
Tom.
Absolutely.
we had extreme tragedy last year, and I think it was at the beginning of last year. So our two chefs that were with us for a long, long time both died. You know, Zaza was young. He suffered through brain and lung cancer for like 6-7 years, and he still worked for us. And Scotty just had a baby. The baby was still in the hospital, and he took a heart attack and died.
Jesus.
And they died a month apart.
Wow.
So you guys had to scramble.
Yeah, I mean, we still had other people that had worked for us that we stayed friends with that came and jumped in. Then we had you remember Tony Ambrose from Ambrosia?
No.
In Boston. He's an Italian guy out of Cleveland, pretty eclectic guy. You know, he came up with Bob and Lynch, all those people. And Tony's helped us the past year. You know, like he's helped us train people, kind of like consultant, and we may be doing some stuff.
Oh, no kidding.
Tony's a great guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a fabulous restaurant. Quick question, one more question about the restaurant. Has your demographic gone down a lot younger people eating there rather than the old North Enders?
Well, besides my sons taking like 20, 25 people. You know what's funny? You go in my restaurant and you see the prettiest groups of like these beautiful young girls. To the point that when my son goes, Robbie tells my son, he goes, "Are you guys sleeping? Go talk to the girls, right?" so yeah, I go in there and I'm amazed. So yeah, we're getting like a younger foodies. We have an older clientele. We have a pretty exclusive clientele. Like I bought a factory in Rhode Island. The guy did the closing. There was a judge, and he goes, I said, I have a restaurant. Maybe you want to come up. And the guy says, "Oh my God, that's your restaurant?" He said, "It's my son and daughter-in-law's favorite restaurant." That's all they talk about.
It's a great restaurant.
You know, and so right now we're only open 4 days a week. You know, the mandate that the mayor wants to put in, I think it's a nail in the coffin right now.
Right.
You got a lot of company there.
I had spoken to the mayor, the lady, Janie, that had taken over after Marty Walsh. So we had about a half-hour conversation, her and I, at Santabio's in East Boston. And, you know, she said, "Pete, was it a lifeline?" I said, "You know what? It was a lifeline to have outdoor dining. And I think Boston is the perfect city. And you can't get a better neighborhood than the North End to have continuous outdoor dining." And she said, "I get the most complaints from the neighborhood and neighbors in the." I said, "They're always going to be complainers. They're not going to be your voting." I said, "They live in the North End. You know, their properties have gone up 600%. To have outdoor dining like that on the sidewalk in the North End in the summer, it's kind of an enhancement of quality of life."
I think it's great. I mean, I know there are people on Hanover
There are
Street
pros and cons.
Yeah, there are people on Hanover Street because of the trucks and all that stuff. But overall,
they should stop traffic. They should stop traffic from 5 to 11, right?
We talked about.
you
and I talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about that. Peter, all right, so let's switch gears now. You've got a very successful restaurant. Tell us about some of the we've got several minutes. Tell us about some of the other businesses that you're involved with.
So, you know, we have Design Group 47. So we do we now have architecture, and we involve architecture, 3D design, interior design. We do furniture. We have a full construction company open now also as part of it, which is design and build. So we'll do kitchens, countertops, floor, tile. We import everything directly, tile from overseas. Downstairs, I have World Depot, which is like a wholesale flooring business. We're setting up a showroom downstairs for a builder showroom right now, but you know, we actually have a whole real estate division. I'm getting personally more and more into real estate. My son's a junior at Merrimack. My younger son, he's going to come into business. The older one is an analyst for a big company. He buys companies. I don't know if he's going to come. My daughter's.
Now, where is the location?
It's 47 Newberry Street in Peabody. I'm in the process of permitting 56 apartments plus commercial on the first floor. So with a few friends of mine from Brazil, one's a doctor, a few Italian friends. We're going to be opening up a clinic, hopefully. It's called Easy Med Care. So we're going to do all the scans. We're going We're going to do like CAT scans, MRIs. So, we're going to be giving away free visits, X amount a year for our veterans and poor people.
That's become a big business. Those walk-in MRI facilities. Yeah, it costs like a couple $100. You get an MRI.
Well, I met with Hitachi in Chicago at the show 2 years ago, January, before the pandemic, and I had told the guy from Hitachi, I said, I really want to give away like 500 to 1,000 free visits a year to poor people and veterans.
Good for you.
So he looked at me. He goes, "You're a genius." I said, "Why?" Because I'm giving away. I said, "Look," I almost lost my mother when I was a kid, and I was like 14 years old, and it was due to a bad diagnosis. So her cousin said to her, "Go get a second opinion," and they said, "Oh, you can wait 6 months a year." So the second doctor said to her, "You're going in next week," and she had a full hysterectomy.
Wow.
When they took it out, he said, "If you waited 6 months, you would have died."
You would have gone. You would have been gone.
Hey, Tom, we have another Facebook listener, and this pertains to the Butcher Boy. The question, I believe, was, do they make crown roaster pork? As a matter of fact, they do, David. They make the crown roaster pork. They have a lot of specialty items they make, and that happens to be one of them. And, Tommy, I don't know if you've ever had, Peter, maybe you've had them, pork pinwheels. Have you ever had that?
I have not.
I'll tell you, they're a thing of beauty if they're done right. You know how we cut a brajol?
Yeah.
You get that with the pork loin. You butterfly it, you pound it, you put paper between the saran wrap, pound it down, and then at the Butcher Boy, they stuff it with spinach, mozzarella. It's a thing of beauty.
I got one in the fridge, and I made the crown roast the other day. I'm cooking I have the Brazilians here right now, so I'm cooking for them every day.
Good for you,
I'm
man.
Cooking everything.
Why don't you take them to Uno's? It's a good restaurant.
We're only open.
They're open 4 days a week.
They won't allow me in there.
They won't let you in there. Yeah.
They won't allow me in my own restaurant.
Mikey, I want to get you, seriously, I want to get your recipe for brajol because my mother, God rest her soul, that was the one recipe that I lost. I can't find it.
I'll be more than happy.
You go online and you.
No.
Exactly. I know that yours is really good. I want to get the recipe for
I have one for you.
Go.
My mother's.
Oh, a brajol?
Yeah, she puts the eggs
Why don't you send it to me? I'd like to match it up against what I do.
She doesn't put salami in it.
Okay, she doesn't.
Salami's too strong.
Prosciutto?
For the beef, yeah, you can use prosciutto, right? You use the eggs. I don't know what kind of herbs she puts in it. She puts garlic and a little bit of garlic, and I think she puts a little bit of the hard Romano cheese in it too.
Does she put any peas in it, Peter?
No, that's our pasta forno. We made that last week.
Yeah. Anyway, getting back, so you're really busy, man. You got your hands on quite a few.
Everything's in one location. So when the pandemic started, I just spent a lot of money on Harrison Ave in the South End. In 2 showrooms we were fitting out. We were still unpacking the furniture that we imported, and a 30-inch water main broke. We had 6
I saw that on Facebook. Jesus, I felt your pain.
We still didn't even get paid.
Wow.
Peter, we got about 1 minute and 30 seconds left. First thing I want to do is, what is the address of Restorante Euno?
119 Salem Street.
119 Salem Street, beautiful little side street, gorgeous restaurant.
Ice wine. Tell the listeners what ice wine is. Ice wine martini.
So
we got a minute.
So we make ice wine with grape-infused vodka and frozen grapes. It's all booze. You can only have one. That's it.
Maybe he can only have one.
I didn't think you had a full liquor license.
I don't.
You don't?
As long as
I didn't think you did.
If it's infused with something, it's not considered a liquor.
All right, Peter, you got to promise to come back. Are you going to be down here at all? You're not coming south at all?
I am going to come south soon.
Just you got to, if you come down here, because I know these are your hands down here.
I have a few jobs on Palm Beach I got to look at. I got friends building.
I'd love to take you to lunch.
Yep.
I'd love to take you to lunch.
All
My
right,
pleasure.
we'll go for that sandwich.
The Breakers. Only go to the Breakers.
Samwicha.
No, he's paying.
Oh, he's paying. Breakers.
Yeah, you're not, if I'm going to go out to lunch with him, it's not going to be at the Breakers.
Yes, it is.
There's a couple of good Italian restaurants down here that I've discovered, and they're very good, actually.
I'm sure they are, Tom.
With that being said, Mikey boy, have a great week.
Thank
Peter,
you.
thanks.
Have a great weekend.
As always, and Chrissy and David, good job as usual. To our viewers and listeners, please share us, watch us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe, iHeartRadio. We're all over the place. With that being said, Mikey, have a great week.
Thank you. We're heading out for lunch. Peter and I are going for lunch.
Listen, enjoy the sun while we're shoveling here for 12 hours tomorrow.
Nah, it's light stuff. Plus, it's good exercise. You don't have to go to the gym.
And remember, if you can't make fun of yourself, please don't make fun of anyone.
And the word America, Tommy, it's a beautiful Italian word. Take care, everybody.
Ty Cobb. Mike didn't mean what he said. I swear to God, he didn't mean it.
Audio
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.